Hello everyone and welcome to Nancy's Magic Touch and DIYs. In today's video, we're going to do some fall decorations. I am going to use some dollar store items and create some beautiful home decor. So without any further ado, just grab a nice warm cup of tea and let's get started. I found this beautiful little vase at the dollar store. I could only find one of them, so I picked it up and I'm going to beautify it. So I purchased this pack of paper, scrapbook paper at Michael's. It's a gift thanks package. I will put the link down below. And there's a lot of paper in here. There's a lot of beautiful designs to work with, and you can make multiple projects with one pack. So I found a design that I liked in the paper pack, and it comes with these kind of tag things. So I'm going to cut the one here with the pumpkin. I really like that one, so I'm going to use it in my project. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out. So now I'm going to measure to see if it's the size or not. It needs to be trimmed a little bit. So in order to fit it into between the two space, their little bump space in the vase, I'm going to have to trim this up a little bit. So I'm going to use my paper cutter to make sure I have a nice straight cut, and I'm just going to eyeball to see how much I need to take out. I also picked another page out of the booklet, and I want to make sure that's the same width as my pumpkin tag. So I'm going to go ahead and make a little mark and cut myself a banner. Now I'm going to use some Mod Podge in the matte finish. I always use the matte finish because really you really can't see it, and I love the result. So I'm just using a sponge brush from the dollar store, and I'm going to pick the nicer side from the vase, and I'm going to first place my pumpkin in the middle. With some Mod Podge. So I'm going to hold it to where I want it and just lift it to one side, put some Mod Podge to hold it in place, and go along to the other side. It takes a little while for the Mod Podge to really stick, so you just got to keep rubbing and make sure there's no bubble, and just keep rubbing until it glues properly. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my banner that I created all around the rest of the vase. So I'm just going to apply some glue a little bit and work my way around bit by bit. I just want to make sure that I put it in place to start and make sure it stays on and it glues on before I go ahead and move any further. And like I did with the little pumpkin tag, I'm just working in section, just little bit by bit, just to make sure it stays on and I have no bubble. Once you arrive by the end, don't do like me. I forgot to trim the paper the size I needed, so I should have measured the space and I didn't. So now I have to try to eyeball this and cut it. But yeah, don't do that. Measure first and then cut. You want to make sure that you glue the edges really well so it doesn't come off. Now I'm using some twine rope that I got at the dollar store, or craft rope, whatever you call it. And I'm just going to put that right above that little bump above the paper. And I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue to put that rope in place. And I'm going to go around 3 or 4 times just to give it the thickness that I need to go to the next little bump above. I went around way to the top of that little ledge, and now I'm ready to cut the rope and glue it with some hot glue in place. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing in the bottom part of the vase underneath that little bump. Now I'm taking the same rope and I'm going to apply in the same way around the handle of the little vase. I love natural dry plants or stems. So I went outside and I picked a variety of ones that I could find around the area here close by. So I'm just going to go and trim them all up to size so they're not too tall and put them in place in my vase. And here is the result. I am absolutely in love with this little galvanized vase. It really dresses up really well and gives it a really nice finish. And oh, those dry stems, I love them so much. I think I will be having them all over my house in the fall. I have this frame from the dollar store on hand, so I'm going to use this frame. I'm just going to take it apart, take the glass and the back out of it, and it's got a few scratches on it, I guess, from the transport. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spray paint this just to make sure it has a really nice coverage and a nice finish. I'm going to use my spray chalk paint. It's in white linen, and I'm going to give that just one good coat of this spray paint to my can. And if you don't have one of these handles, these are very dandy. I love using them. It makes it very easy to spray, and you can get them at Home Depot. I'm going to use my chalk paintbrush that I have on hand. This is made by Rustoleum paint, and it's a really good one. I really love it. And I'm going to use some of this paint that I have in the brown. It's just that dollar store paint, and I'm just gonna brush a little bit off of my paintbrush and just lightly apply a little bit of brown all around my frame. It's called dry brushing. I'm going to go in the front, on the side, on the inside. I want to give this a really rustic look, a worn out look, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to use this aquaish, bluish, grayish color. It's a really nice color, and I want to use the same technique as I did with the brown. So I'm going to go ahead and dry brush it all over the frame, on the front, inside, and also on the outside. This gives it a really nice rustic feel to it. I love the effect that it does. It really makes it way more cozier. It makes a big difference. Ooh, I forgot that side, so I'm going to go ahead and touch that. Out of the package that I purchased, I really love this design. It's a 12 by 12 sheet. It's a little bit too big for the frame, so I'm going to go ahead and use my trimmer again and trim it a very tiny bit all the way around. Now I'm simply going to put all this together and put inside the frame. This is a very easy project to do. And look at the result. This looked like a frame that you would buy for quite a bit of money in stores and a gift shop, at Michael's, any giftware store, that you would pay quite a bit more than what it will cost you to make one. I absolutely love the look and nice colors that's going through this frame, and I think they blended very well with the color of the frame that I picked, and I like the saying that is on it as well. I I picked a rolling pin at the dollar store. I love these. They're all wooden and they are natural wood. So it's a nice blank surface to work with. I love staining stuff. So whenever I can find stuff with wood, I'm a happy person. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my stain and give a coat of stain around the handle area, just a little bit over the edge of the rolling area and on the handles. This particular stain here is called Provincial by Wax, and I'm just going to give one coat of this. It looks really dark, but once you wipe it off, some of that stain off, it gives it a really nice warm color. I love that color because it's darker and it's very nice for fall. I love the darker color for falls on wood rather than the lighter color, but that's just me. I find it gives a really nice, cozy, warm look to your piece. Now that this is dry, I am going to go ahead and measure the length of my rolling pin, and I'm also going to measure around it to see the size that I need. This is the leftover paper that I used on the can, and I'm going to go ahead and use my slicer and cut a piece that fits my rolling pin. So the rolling pin is 9.5 by 6.5 approximately. You can do it a little bit shorter if you want a little bit of the edge of the rolling pin showing. That's up to you. Now I'm going to use the same technique as the can. I'm going to use the same Mod Podge in the matte finish with my sponge brush, and it's the same thing. I'm going to put some Mod Podge lengthways for a section, and then apply my paper on it and keep rubbing my paper until it sticks to the rolling pin. You want to keep rubbing to make sure that there's no bubble underneath. You want to make sure that you put your Mod Podge really, really well. There's no bare area or big lumps of the glue. You want to spread that really well. Then again, like I said, I'm doing this in sections, so a little bit at a time. You gotta really allow for it to stick. Otherwise, it keeps popping out. So yeah, it's better if you take your time than rush through it and don't have a nice result. Now I'm at the end of the rolling pin, so I'm going to reapply some Mod Podge all along the length just to make sure that there's Mod Podge underneath the seam area. And I am going to take my fingers and rub it and keep flatten it up and rub it until it actually sticks. And like I said, it takes a moment. I purchased little gift tags, wooden gift tags at the dollar store. They come in a package and there's several ones in the package. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove the rope, and I'm going to give a coat of stain to this tag, and I'm using the same stain as I use for the rolling pin. I have a trizillion amount of stamp. I have a big collection. These is a fall collection from close to my heart, and I'm loving the little fall stamp that's on it. I'm going to use that. So I'm going to stamp this to my little tag with an acrylic block and a sponge, and I'm going to use some white ink to put on this little stamp. This ink is from Close to My Heart as well. It's White Daisy. I've had this for years, but sometimes you can also pick little packs of inks at the dollar store, little square ones. I have multiple of these in hands as well. So I'm just going to go ahead, and what you do with this acrylic block is you turn it upside down and make sure it fits into your tag before you go ahead and put that in the ink. And I'm just going to dip it several times in the ink to make sure I have lots on my block. And I'm going to apply to my tag. What I really love about acrylic stamps and the clear stamps is that you can go back over it again if you're comfortable, to make it a little bit of a darker color, more bright color I should say. So you have to be really comfortable with your stamping technique to go back and do that. It covered the last L of the fall a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and take a toothpick and just wipe some of that off. Now I'm just using a wipe to clean my acrylic stamps, and I am going to put that away right away before I forget it. Now I'm just taking some ribbon in a natural color, and I'm just going to make a very simple bow, and I'm going to make it the size that fits properly on the rolling pin, so not too big, not too small. I'm just going to go ahead and use one of these aqua buttons. It matches the color that I have on my rolling pin print. So I'm going to pass the rope through the holes, and that will create a string with the button on it to attach my bow. Now I'm going to go ahead and tie my bow with some knots on the back. Now I'm going to fix this bow a little bit, and I am going to take my scissors and I'm going to make some fishtail at the end of the ribbon on each side, and then I am going to carefully take my lighter and burn these edges off to make sure they don't fringe. Now I'm going to take that little piece of rope that I removed from the tag earlier, put it back in place with a knot. Now I'm taking my bow and I'm simply going to tie it to the top of the rolling pin, doing a knot out back. Now I'm going to take these little foam dots that I purchased at the dollar store a long time ago. I haven't seen those in a long time, but I did buy a lot for myself because I did use them a lot. So I'm going to use one of them, and I'm going to simply put it on the back of my tag and remove the backing and stick that in place. And here is the rolling pin all completed. I love the look of this rolling pin with the dark stain and the little tag. Everything blends in very nicely together, and this will make a very nice decorative piece for any kitchen. And here are my 3 projects put together as a set. I'm loving each and every one of these pieces. They go together very well, and you can scatter them around your house just to make a kind of a team look. So you can have multiple pieces in one area of your house or spread them in different room of your house. Well, that's it for this video, folks. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you liked my video, please give me the thumbs up. I would love to hear all your comments again down below. And if you haven't had a chance to subscribe to my channel yet, well, please do that. Until next time, you have yourself a great day.